Good morning, evening, and afternoon. My name is Santiago Corredor, and today I'll be presenting the A1, the self-reflection video. I would like to start my reflection by presenting the idea, or better said, the concept of Sinoli. What is Sinoli? Well, it is a short for smile, interest, name, open, listen, and iterate. This concept was developed by Dale Carnegie in his book How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it explains through the use of some psychological tools how to quickly fall on the good side of a person. While this idea might look a little mundane at first, we need to understand the power of having someone to trust you and like you could have. I would like to kickstart the explanation by telling you a story presented by Dell himself. A woman who had inherited money was eager to make a pleasing impression on everyone. She squandered her mother's fortune on sables, diamonds, and pearls, but she hadn't done anything whatsoever about her face. It radiated sourness and selfishness. She was lacking a truthful smile. The first step to Sinali is smiling. It is a sign of biological and psychological stability. Even while developing on the wombs, babies can smile, and they continue to develop this capacity through their younger stages. We feel closer to someone who's creating a genuine smile. It creates a warm sensation that instantly helps us create trust. In opposite scenarios, though, a fake smile can create several negative effects on the person that receives the signal. Continuing to create a proper Sinoli, we need to have a genuine interest on the person. Unsurprisingly, there is no easy way to get to someone and create a real valuable relationship with them without having a real appreciation of them. This step is done by finding something you truly admire of the person you might want to approach. It shouldn't be too complex. It is possible to value something as simple as the hair of someone. You might kickstart the conversation by saying something like, "Hey, I like your hat." Again, only if you genuinely mean this compliment. And in most scenarios, you will be able to appreciate something from the other person. After combining this with the first step, this will be enough to at least make the other person smile back at you. Continuing with Sinali, what is coming up next would be the name. What's impressive about this step? Well, according to Jim Farley, the average person is more interested in his or her own name more than all the other names on earth put together. This will not only make the person feel appreciated, considering you took the effort to remember it, but will also create the cocktail party effect, where people will dedicate more of their attention to you, making easier the communication as well as filtering potential external distractions from them. For in this line of thoughts, proving the person we're communicating that we're actively listening to them, it is important that we engage in the conversation. There is a risk, while trying to be a more active participant of the conversation, of coming across as rude or self-centered, depending on the moment when the participation is done or the weight of this one in the conversation. We always need to remember that the main idea is always going to be making the other person feel important. It is impossible to achieve this if we spend our time talking about ourselves, of course. The participation needs to be concise and always open for a reply, proving that we're paying attention to the conversation while sharing in a natural way some information about ourselves as well. Considering it could also come across unnatural to not share any information about ourselves with the active speaker. If you achieve the previous steps correctly, you're probably going to be able to step back and listen. At this point, there are high chances that the other person is so engaged in the conversation that they will continue talking without you necessarily actively seeking for this participation. It is important to mention that when it is possible to step back, we don't mean to unengage from the conversation. On the opposite side, this could bring catastrophic repercussion towards any attempts of future relationships. It is important to maintain a genuine interest towards the other person and keep on being an active participant in the conversation. But at this time, you're going to allow the other person to do the talking. Because once you have achieved the previous steps, the person who you're trying to relate to should feel comfortable, engaged in the conversation, secure on the topic they may choose to talk about, and free to go on as they feel heard by you, which also gives them the sensation of importance that is essential to make people like you. The final step to complete Sinoli is iteration. You will be able to notice that you're not only going to feel more comfortable doing it, but it'll happen in a much natural way, making the relationships you build using this strategy potentially stronger. Of course, there can be variations in the method, and you cannot replicate it too many times with someone you already know, but it's a great tool to get closer with someone in a short amount of time. We only need to remember that one of the main concepts of this entire process is that the other person needs to feel important. Concluding, one of the major values we can adopt from this strategy in business, and one that I personally find essential, is the possibility to create meaningful relationships. It is not a surprise to anyone that approximately 85% of jobs around the world are found through our networks. In business, this becomes even more essential because nobody is ever going to give their money to you or their futures to someone who can they trust, someone who they cannot trust. The creation of relationships in business is necessary to be able to close deals, create partnerships, and even manage your employees. It is also true that happier employees are more productive, all the way up to 25% more productive, in fact. And most employees report to be happy in their workplaces when they feel validated and important within the business structure. Sinoli can also prove to be an essential tool for a manager to understand its employees, motivate them, and have a better impact in any task they might need the employee to perform. Thank you.